Alrighty. It seems that we got a very special spawn, and oh, look, it's all catered and ready for you guys to view. So here we are with another rendition, another episode of Get Geared. I guess I'm calling it Get Geared now because I didn't even try to do this. I just, in the past, I think 3 thumbnails, I've put Get Geared in the thumbnail, which is kind of crazy. But I guess I'm just calling it Get Geared. It's a beginner loot route video where I go over all the different spawns, starting with Chernarus, then we'll eventually move over to Livonia. But today we got a very special spawn. We got the Lighthouse of Death spawn, and I'll show you why in a second. There's a nice little set of boats here. You can get some early game fishing supplies, a little shed. Sometimes you can get like a melee or something out of that. But here's the lighthouse itself. It's not as crazy as it normally would be, but a lot of players use this as a respawn point. If they don't want to spawn here, they want to get somewhere closer to where they died, or they just don't feel like, you know, being in the spawn point. A lot of players will just jump off the lighthouse and respawn. So that's why it's called the Lighthouse of Death. There could be stuff up there, but I never really go up there. I just move on as soon as possible because it is quite common to spawn here. So yeah, you're probably wondering where this might be. And when you get here, I mean, you'll probably know by the dead bodies, but on your left, you'll actually get a good view of Chernarus, or Chernogorsk, sorry. So Cherno is on your left. It's actually right in between Cherno and Elektro. It's pretty split down the middle as well. Because if you go to the right here, you see this little clump of buildings, and then a little bit farther down the road is Elektro, just around a bend. So you can't see it as easy. But since we've already done a Cherno loot route, I'm gonna head over to Elektro, and we'll loot up Elektro. I always like to kind of hug the coast and loot the boats because it's a little more low-key, and you can find a cheeky little soda or, you know, some fishing supplies, which is really good if you end up not being able to find a lot of food. Oh! I'm really excited. This is the first Get Geared I've done for 1.17, and to my surprise, usually when I do these, well, with every episode that I've done with this, they've all been on official servers, and typically, you know, there's a couple full servers, and then, you know, most of the rest are medium to low pop. But today, I had to wait in a queue. All of the Chernarus servers were full. All of the official ones that I saw were full or high pop. It was so cool to see, and I'm really, really happy that DayZ is starting to really pick up as a game and as a community. And this is being recorded on a Monday, so like this isn't just, you know, peak hours on the weekend. This is on Monday. It's 2:50 p.m. Eastern time on a Monday, and the servers are going crazy. It's so cool to see, and I'm really excited for where DayZ is going as a game. But anyway, let's kind of a little alarm clock. Let's kind of focus on the loot route at hand. So you can go, like I said, straight over. You spawn at the lighthouse, you can go straight over to Prig. There's a well there, and that will lead you to Chernarus, or to Chernogorsk, sorry. Fucking same shit, right? Or you can split off to the right and come to these 3 houses, and if you just follow this main road, it takes you right to the outskirts of Elektro, starting with this barn here. And Elektro is kind of notorious for being really chaotic at times. Very similar to Cami, because they're very close together. Because it's not like Chernogorsk where there's a lot of places to hide and a lot of places to go. Elektro is a decently sized city, but for the most part, it's all pretty clumped together. All the best parts and all the parts that people loot at. Oh, there's a player on my left. He looks geared. Oh shit, he's probably gonna shoot me. Oh, there's 2 players geared. I'm gonna die. Well, let's just see how this goes. Hey there. Hey guys. I'm just a freshie, man. I'm just trying to get started.
Take care, man. Where are you from, bro? Don't worry, we don't kill you. Don't worry.
Okay. Well,
Where are you from?
I'm from the U.S. I'm friendly, man.
You say?
Yes.
We're from Russia, man. Hello.
Oh, very cool. Thank you. Alright. Have a good one, guys. Peace out. Okay. That's not how I expected that to go. But, cool. Here come the hashtag scripted in the comments. Hashtag scripted comments. Just another day on official DayZ, baby. Gotta love it. But anyway, Elektro, like I just got done saying, Elektro can be very dangerous and very notorious for action and lots of fresh young freshy violence. Or apparently geared guys roaming the coast. I don't know. But it's a very popular hotspot. But if you loot it right, you can get very geared in Elektro. And what I'm going to go over in this little episode is the spots that people don't loot as often. You know, there's lots of typically I go over the points of interest, and I always like to point them out, just, you know, for your own knowledge and something for you to keep in mind. But not a key to looting in DayZ, especially when you're getting started, is not always going to the most popular points, because as I've discussed in previous episodes, the way that DayZ's loot system the way that DayZ's loot system works, is that it's based on player vicinity. So, you know, say like when the server wipes fresh, this house in front of me, you know, has a jacket, it has a pistol, and it has a piece of food. As time goes by, people are going to pick those items up, and if there's no, you know, if there's always somebody within the vicinity of this house, loot is not going to respawn. So if you think about a town like Elektro, for example, where there's people always in town and always looting these spots, it's going to be very difficult for you to find loot if you're looking in, like, let's say the police station, because let's face it, everybody, when they go to a spawn town, if there's a police station, they're going to loot it. And fair play as well, but you can't expect to go into these high traffic points of interest and even the surrounding houses and expect to get loot all the time. So my advice is to find a little loot path that is maybe a little bit more low key and allows some room for another thing of rice. Allows for you to stay low profile and also, you know, be as efficient as possible with your looting. Starting with these houses sometimes, I feel like a lot of people will just spawn in. Sometimes an Elektro spawn will kind of spawn you right outside of these houses, but not everybody loots them. Some people will just run straight into town and fucking speedrun, which is, I don't think is very ideal. I don't advise that you do that. Why? It's not like, there we go. And for anybody wondering what that smoke is there, that's just somebody punched out a gas station. Or maybe those guys shouted out, who knows. But again, there's this patrol shack here, there's this barn, and then there's an industrial area, which can be decent for looting, and we'll go and you can see. But for the most part, these areas, oh shit, these areas are going to be very void of loot at times, and you might get frustrated and blah blah blah. But like I said, it's loot on DayZ is very much based on player proximity, and if there's always somebody looting these areas, then there's not going to be much loot left over for you by the time you get there. So, you know, a Glock mag is fine. We'll definitely hold on to that, but I personally would rather loot these houses because people will either run straight into the city and start looting, or they'll go over here because they're like, ooh, patrol shack. I could get a shotgun, or I could get a stab vest, and while that might be possible, the odds, you know, this early on in the game are pretty low. So I like to just stay low key. I like to loot these houses on the outskirts, and then I like to go to the docks over there in the distance, which I guess you'll see in a minute. But you know, we got pretty lucky with the food. We found 2 little quarter things of rice, which is a pretty good start either way. But then, you know, they gave us those 2 friendly Russian guys actually, you know, giving us the beefsteak is pretty clutch. And that's just an example of, you know, maybe sometimes if you go up and you talk to people and you're friendly and you're just like low key, I don't know, like, hey, you know, have a little energy in your voice. People will be nice to you, and I think that's an example of that. You know, a lot of people complain about kill on sight, but also think about the context. Are you fucking sprinting around them like a psychopath? Are you? Do you have a gun out? Do you have a gun on your back? Do you pose as a threat in any sort of way? You know, are you trying to avoid them? All those are very valid questions. And then think about, you know, what would you do in that situation if you saw yourself in the way that you were behaving? Would you shoot yourself in that situation? If the answer is yes, then, you know, then it justifies why some other people do it. And even if you do get shot on sight, you know, that's part of DayZ, man, so sometimes you just have to just take one on the chin and keep moving. And if you can't do that, I personally would just think that you're not built for DayZ. It's just as simple as that. You have to have a lot of time, patience, and energy, I guess, to really push through some days that you'll have in this game. Some days you'll have epic moments, you'll have some cool adventures, some interesting interactions, some cool gunfights. And then other days you're just gonna get fucking pooped all over, and you have to be able to accept that. You can't always be a goddamn stud in the DayZ lands. It's just not possible. Alright, that's for all you chads out there. All you milsim chads. DayZ's not a milsim, it's an adventure game. Anyway, it's a survival game. We'll actually stack up stones for all the people that I always have that are like, oh man, I never find stones in DayZ. I've never seen one. Yeah, it's an example of you know, being in a high traffic area and just looking on the train tracks. There's stones out there, man. They don't just not exist. But if you wanted to, there's lots of crates here. There's a couple military crates. I'm just not gonna, you know, spend as much time. I don't like to spend time in this area. But as you can see, there's a bunch of crates. Some of them open. You know, like you can see that one military one there. I'll just run through it for the people. And yeah, smoke grenade. I'm good. But yeah, there's some crates here you can loot up. They're not, you know, they have a chance to spawn military stuff, but odds are you're not going to find anything too crazy. So typically, I just like to avoid and move over to a little box of 9mm. As I say, they don't spawn anything too crazy. I get a box of 9mm. Let's go. Now just loot a little industrial. Yeah, there you go. Get a pair of gloves. Tire repair kit if you are planning on making a, you know, fixing up a car or using NBC gear. And then there's actually another patrol shack here. I feel like, I mean, I think people know about it now, but back in the day, it used to be a lot less looted because people didn't really know it was there. But yeah, someone's been here. And we saw that dead zombie back there, which is also an indicator of player activity. And yeah, so now I still just like to kind of hug the dock here because it's a lot less traveled. And I just loot the occasional shed looking for little bits here and there. You know, we got lots of 9mm stuff, so maybe, you know, this is a circumstance in which, hey, you know, I have all this 9mm. I might as well go to the PD and try and find an M-lock or something. Because then we'd be pretty set. We'd have a secondary for the rest of this run. And the zombie aggroed on my movement because I'm sprinting around being careless. So when that happens, see, there he goes. I just crouch around the other way. Because the zombies in this are very intelligent AI. Especially in 1.17. They're very sensitive to sounds and to sight. So in that circumstance, the AI was kind of tracking where I was heading and where it heard the footsteps, so it's going to move that direction. If you hear the zombie aggro and it's not, it doesn't have a line of sight on you, if you just simply change direction and keep something between you and the zombie, then you'll probably be fine. Make sure that you're crouching and being careful and slow, though. Alright, now we got ourselves a baseball bat. Very, 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 very solid melee weapon. And a knife. So now we can, do some rag cutting and that sort of thing. And, you know what? Since it's 1.17, I'll actually show you a few of the new crafting things if we can get our hands on some stuff. A new strategy that I've developed. If you guys are long-time watchers of the channel, you know that I'm all about the shoes off, gags in mentality, which was back, before 1.17. Whenever I get into a sneaking situation where I didn't want to be heard and I wanted to ambush somebody or something, I would take my player's shoes off, which made, as I can show you here, which makes my movement very silent, very quiet. But the issue with that is, without shoes on, you have a chance to get bleeds on your feet, which makes you cause a noise. It makes your player kind of groan, which would give you away and defeat the purpose. So to combat that, and some shivering, because odds are you're probably cold because DayZ is sometimes overly cold. I would gag myself with one single rag, and that would muffle the sounds that my player would make and make me an efficient, stealthy player. But now with 1.17, they've added a new crafting item, well, series of a ton of crafting items. But my favorite one being the improvised clothing you can make out of rags. And here's why. I will show you. So, simply all you need to do is get your hands on some rags, just by, taking a bladed item to, some leftover clothing. What does this zombie have for me? Oh, a dried zucchini. And then you just put the rags in your hands, and you can see in the bottom left, you have a scroll wheel option, and you can make all these different improvised, face, hands, head, feet. And I think if you have enough, you can make a like improvised pants and torso wraps. But what I like to do is I like to make the improvised feet wrapper. And I will show you why this is the case. Because as I mentioned, when you take your shoes off, you're very quiet. But the problem with that is it can give you bleeds. So instead, if you make the improvised feet wraps, you walk as if you have no shoes, and I actually think it's a little bit quieter. Depends on the surface you're on, but whatever. And you can see they're not very durable, and when I crafted them, they're badly damaged because my rags are badly damaged. But let me show you this. All you need to repair these is a single rag, and that will bring it back up to the next best state of condition. So you saw they were badly damaged. I fixed it with one rag. Now it's damaged. And then if I use the slash spare rag, it'll bring it back up to worn. And this is now my preferred method of stealth gameplay. And actually, I typically now, unless they make any changes to the durability of the rag shoes, I typically just run with the rag shoes, and I'm stealthy all the time. Because it's so easy to accumulate rags and always have a way to fix up your... Why am I not getting my bat out? But it's always easy to get your hands on rags and stack up a bunch and always be able to repair your shoes. A little bit of desync. I did say that they don't have the best durability, but a pristine pair can get you up to 30 to 40 minutes if you're, typically walking on grass and stuff. depending on the type of surface that you're moving on, they will degrade faster or slower. I don't have any specific stats to share with you on that, but just know that the durability is not the greatest, but it can also be repaired they can be repaired very easily. So, you know, and right there is 4 damage fixes right off the rip. So I typically will just get a bunch of rags, 2 stacks at most of rags. I like to keep, because some you can also, you know, you can use some to fix up your improvised clothing, and you can also use some to, you know, disinfect if you don't find bandages or something. Now, so I don't know why I was so enthusiastic about that now, but now that we're through the industrial bit, you can loot the industrial bit a bit more, but you know, I think typically looting a couple of the sheds in that area, maybe some crates and a patrol shack, whatever, that should be plenty of, you should probably find plenty of loot to get you started. And then I'd like to move on to this more residential area, and this is a lot less looted as well, because most people will just spawn in and go to, you know, straight into town, like I said. So already we're finding some decent items here. Don't need that stone anymore. Excuse me. And as always, we always like to eat as we go. You know, I don't like to hold on to any food because, you know, when it's in your stomach, it weighs less than when it's in your backpack, meaning it doesn't weigh anything. So whenever you have food, it's better to just eat as you go, because it doesn't weigh anything when it's in your stomach, and you're just wasting inventory space, and you're wasting you know, your stamina bar as well. Cans of food can actually get pretty heavy if you stack them. And they can be up to a kilogram or 2 sometimes, depending on the food item. Look at that, we already have a stack and a third. It's really easy to accumulate rags, as I said, and you know, almost any clothing item can be turned into rags as well. You can also, as mentioned in previous renditions of this, you can still combine 2 full stacks of rags to make yourself a rope, and then with a rope now you can make an improvised belt, which we might just do. Let me just show you how to do that. Yeah, we might as well. Just to top off my rags. Oh, also, I did mention and kind of go over all the different variations that you can make with the new improvised clothing. Gloves being one of them. So if you are having a hard time finding gloves and you don't want to wash your hands every time you cut up that precious little chicken, you can just make improvised gloves with 2 rags. I think the face wrap, the hand wrap, and the foot wraps, they all take up... Oh shit. That's okay. I have a shotgun. Better hold on to the shotgun long term. I think they all take up 2 rags to make, and then the torso and the leg wraps, I think take... I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. I think they take 4, maybe 5. I'm not sure. Can't be 100%, so I don't want to mislead anybody, but... Oh, here we go. Rope. Perfect. So, see, just like with the rags, you can hold the rope in your hand, and then it just gives you the option to either restrain if you scroll down, or if you keep it on the default, it ties a belt. And you just simply hold down left click, or I assume right trigger on console, and now you have a rope belt. And all it does is hold a knife, but I think it looks cool. If you find a spare rope and you know you want to save a couple slots, you can just put it on and you know, stick a knife back there, and then it acts like a sheath. So if I were to, you know, hotbar it and then want to use it, it acts like a sheath. So it's nice. It's quieter. It's a little bit quicker to the draw. And I don't know, it just looks like a cool little improvised civilian item. We'll also get this chicken, and I can show you how to make a bone knife as well. So let's beat it senseless with this bat. The desync is real today, man. I don't know what's going on. Just take a blade to the hen here. Rest in peace, mother hen. Alright, we'll stick the chicken right there. And if you hold the bone in the bones in your hand, the bone in the hand, pause. You can see you have to have at least 2 bones, I believe. Let me see, just to confirm. Yep, you need at least 2 bones in hand, and then it gives you that prompt on the bottom left again to craft a bone knife. And that is really handy if you're, you know, not getting as lucky with finding any knives as is. You know, if you're fishing and you like to go through knives because, you know, you have to cut up the fish, you have to dig for worms, all that good stuff. You know, having the ability to now craft a knife is very, very nice and very, very. It makes being a fresh spawn a little bit more tolerable, I would think. But you also need to keep in mind that, you know, knives and most items now degrade a little bit faster, so they have less uses, and you're gonna have to always be prepared. And now knives can be used, bones can be turned into knives and still hooks, so that just adds more versatility to that already very useful item. And with the, I can show you another new feature of the game. Is this a beginner walkthrough for a spawn point? Or is this just a goddamn 1.17 beginner guide? I don't know. But something special and unique that you can do with the stone knife is when you gather a long stick here, you can actually make an improvised spear, which is, I don't have a lot of experience with it. I haven't played around too much. But if you combine it with a long stick, simply like that, you can sharpen it. But also, if you go down, you can split it. But then also, if you go down, you can craft an improvised spear. And the spears are pretty good. They have really long range, especially with the running attack. Yeah, it's just cool to have the ability to, you know, fight with a spear. You can craft melee weapons now that are, it's really useful. And it even has its own cool little animation. I haven't messed around with it enough to know, you know, its worth in combat, but I've heard good things. I really have. I'll even do a little experiment here for the people. See if I can pull off a stealth kill with it. Because I actually haven't tried that yet. I think it would be cool if you can. But, you know, you can this whole block of houses here is typically very underlooted, and people tend to avoid it. Not avoid it, but they tend to skip it, I should say. So make sure you're looting all these houses when you go to Elektro. It's a lot more low-key, and then you have pretty much direct access to the rest of the town from here. But this is where things also get a little bit more dangerous, as you can imagine. Because right down the road here, from this from that electrical box there, and from the residential area we were just in, you come down here, you'll see like a little roadblock. That's cool. Some more houses you can loot. Usually pretty good. These 2 double-story houses. Then you have, you know, little huts here, and then just behind this green hut is a well. And obviously the well is good for hydration. Oh, there's a guy. And he's fucking lagging everywhere. Should I sneak up on him with this thing? Listen how quiet I am. Oh shit. Let's sneak up on him. I can't help myself, chat. Chat. I'm calling you guys chat as if this is a stream. He's got a revolver. The lag! Holy shit! Alright, Spear is pretty solid, guys. Spear is pretty solid. Holy fuck. Alright, and he's I'll take his little school bag. I don't typically take the school bags, but I am very desperate for inventory space right after murdering a man, so... Hell yeah. We will always take a good murder with a spear. That was pretty fucking funny. That's actually... You guys just witnessed my first ever spear kill. At apparently 20 frames a second. But yeah, cool. That's how useful the foot wraps can be. Improvised foot wraps. As well as the spear, apparently. That he just couldn't do anything. He couldn't fucking... He had no room or time to react at all, which... Unfortunate for him. Very fortunate for me. So there's your live review of the spear. And now that we murdered a man in cold blood for the people, for science, I'm going to do my best to get out of here. So, this is one of 2 wells that I know of in Elektro. There's also one, if you were to stick on the road that we kind of were initially going down to come here in the first place. Oh, I hear a man. There's a well on the hillside next to a mustache and a beige house, just in that direction. They stick out fairly obviously on the hill, and you know, pretty accessible. There's also a hospital up this way, but I assume that this guy might have looted that because of all the bandages he had. And then there's also the police station here. There's some jeans. A little bit better insulation that we really need right now. I think because I'm on an EU server, my desync is really bad right now. It's typically not, but no, it is what it is, I suppose. And you know, here's the police station. Oh, there's a zombie with a stab vest in here, so I do want to kill it. If you can get your hands on a ballistic vest early game, you will be fucking golden, man. I'm telling you. There's another zombie there. Trying to pull off the stealth kill here. Perfect. And you can even just fucking slide that on you as the zombie's still falling, because that's how the Chads do it. Alright, and it doesn't seem like there's much of anything here, so I do just want to fucking move on. You know, whenever you kill a person in a fresh spawn town, you know, first of all, GG's to you. Because freshy combat can be very difficult sometimes, if you know, if it's actual freshy on freshy violence. But then when you kill that person, just remember, you're in a spawn town. So people can actually come back very easily. So my advice is get the hell out of there as quick as you can. I don't need all of these bandages, so I'm gonna get rid of a few. Let's make room for this hatchet, because long term this is a really good multi-tool. So yeah, let's make sure we get ourselves out of here. Oh, real quick, there isn't a single military tent here, but you know, as I've said, with an area like this, you know, in a spawn town with a military tent, come on, that's gonna be looted to shit every time you come here. So, you know, maybe you get lucky and it's worth a look. But for the most part, I just avoid it, because there's, you know, it's usually just a waste of time for me, because there's always zombies there, and people are always going there, and it's better to avoid it, in my opinion, if you're truly trying to get an efficient, low-key start. And we found a deagle. Personally, I prefer the revolver, and we don't have a mag for the deagle, so I'm going to stick with the revolver. There's a nice little market here, a couple residential spawns. And there's also the medical up here, which, you know, I believe has already been looted. But yeah, usually I'll go from, you know, that side of Elektro. We'll go down the docks. We'll loot a couple things in the industrial and some guard shacks and stuff. Then we'll cut up into that back coastal residential area. We'll come down to the well. We'll fill up. We'll check out a couple buildings, possibly. We'll go to the police station, There's also a fire station down on the other side, which if you don't have a melee by the time you're at my point here, you probably should go check for a fire axe. But if not, then you come up to the hospital. You can check it out for some medical supplies, which we'll do. Who knows, maybe that guy got lucky and just found a bunch of dead fresh spawns and got those bandages from there. But then once you come up to the hospital, you do a little bit of looting. Oh, look. Oh, that's a used one. Yeah, I think he came up here already. What probably happened was other fresh spawns came here, found the full bandages, and swapped them out for their little half ones, and then he scooped up all the halves. That's pretty common. Yeah, so there's an upstairs bit, but like I said, I'm pretty sure this has already been looted, and there's no sense in me wasting more time here. So after the hospital, I do like to come up and, you know, I check my vitals. I'm doing pretty good right now. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I don't really need anything. I can cook this chicken at some point. Maybe loot around, try and get a rifle or some shotgun ammo. Yeah, that'd be cool. Little hiking jacket. More slots, but actually, hiking jacket's the smarter option. Same insulation, more slots. And actually, it looks a little cooler. I do like the sweaters though. I've been telling people I like the sweater swag. Hashtag sweater swag. But it's just a smarter option. Another, a halfer for the rice. Not so bad. And I know my inventory's a mess. And all you inventory Tetris Andes are probably flipping out at me right now, but trust me. And it's not typically a good idea to sit in the spawn town after committing a crime, a murder crime, and organizing your loot. I advise you wait on that until you get out of the spawn town. But anyway, so, you know, I do have a fishing hook, and I could probably scrap enough actually I already have enough rags to make a rope, and then, you know, we could use that to go fishing. But in this situation, I have plenty of food, and look, we're just finding tons, because typically these houses are less looted as well. We're finding tons of food. I don't really think food's going to be an issue for a while. So I'm just going to do a couple more houses here, and then we're going to take off. And I will take you to the next couple sections, which I think are pretty important, because there's an important decision coming up that you're going to probably have to make. But like I said, if you notice my looting patterns, I hit the bare bones of the inner city, because there's just always people there. Oh, Billy Bear. Hashtag Hell Chili. And we'll do the typical, you know, little surprise attack in the Billy Bear here. Nice. But you'll notice that I didn't really loot the inner part of the city, and because there's always people there, it's more looted, and then, you know, you have a higher chance of dying. So I typically just, sometimes I don't even loot the inner part of the city at all if I see that there's some chaos going down, or, you know, I hear some things, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I typically will just loot that coastal residential area and then this residential area up behind the hospital, because there's less foot traffic, and I'm more likely to find decent clothing. Or decent loot, not clothing. Clothing too, but loot in general. And also, I don't recommend looting these apartments. The apartments on the official maps are typically pretty pointless. In fact, I don't even think there are... I don't think there are apartments in Livonia, so if you find one on there, one, please send me a picture, and two, probably not worth looting. Little 4-dial for y'all base builders out here. Another IJ. There's IJs everywhere, man. And as I said, this is an official server where I had to wait in a queue to get on, and there's still this much loot. Even at the height of its popularity and height of official server population, I am still finding freaking easy loots, man. Still finding easy loots. Really good stuff to get me going. More than enough stuff to get me going. And I've looted, what, maybe a quarter of the town? Maybe? Not even. I've not looted a very significant portion of this town, and I'm still, like, super solid, ready to go. Ready for action. And this could be you, if you play your cards right and you know where to look. I've continued to say it again and again, but new DayZ players, I really feel like it's like they expect to run into this house and just see loot on the ground. Like, all the loot that spawns in this house, it's on the ground. Yeah, like this pair of pants. And that's not how it works. You gotta look in these shelves. You gotta look, sometimes stuff will spawn in this little cabinet. It's gonna spawn sometimes on this fireplace, sometimes on this little TV stand, and sometimes on the table, like this. And on chairs and refrigerators and everything. You gotta look in the little nooks and crannies. And you have to understand that if you're in a high traffic point of interest type area, like Elektro PD, you're probably not going to find a lot of items because everybody and their mom loots there. And as we discussed earlier, the loot is based on player proximity, and, you know, we won't go down that road again, but just so that you guys are aware and you kind of have a better grasp and understanding on how this kind of stuff works and why it might be that you're not finding a lot of loot. If you're not finding any loot at all, my advice is just to go inland, you know? Grab what you can, maybe grab some rags, make a bone knife, get the bare bone essentials, and just move on. You know, you can't expect to find maybe a gun or abundances of food every time you log into an official server. You gotta be able to grab what you can and then overcome, survive, and adapt. That's the name of the game here. Actually, I do want to keep that one. But yeah, you're gonna have trouble in DayZ if you're not able to be flexible and survive / adapt to the different situations that the game presents you with. Always good to remember that DayZ is very much so a survival game in an apocalyptic setting, so loot shouldn't be abundant, you know? You shouldn't come in expecting that it's going to be everywhere, as I'm coming into ammo for my pistol, a rifle, a cool looking beanie. But loot is typically not going to be everywhere. You know? So don't come in with that mindset. Come in, find some items, do what you can with them, and just try your best to survive, because that's the goal of the game anyway, so. Alright, so once you loot up all these houses and you feel like you're about ready to head out, you can see the church here on the right. That's a big landmark that you can see and instantly recognize to know that you're in Elektro. But you want to put the coast on your back. You'll see a road that seems to lead inland, and with this little collection of houses. I will loot these a lot of the time, but I do feel like someone has been through here, and it might be best to avoid. I don't see any zombies down there. We saw trails of players behind us in the city and the surrounding houses, so I think it's probably best that we don't risk it and we just kind of move along in the trees up here. But this road will actually take you to a summer camp, which is really, really nice, and that's kind of my priority anyway. If you think about it, the biggest thing that I need right now, aside from a backpack that's not made for a child, maybe some shotgun rounds, and the summer camp will probably be your better option for finding buckshot or rifled slugs. Sorry about the cars. All day long, there's been goddamn car alarms going off, and I really don't understand why. But yeah, you can see all those doors are open. There's no zombies down there, and that is an indication that there has potentially been players through here very recently. Or maybe they just haven't spawned on me. Maybe that's the case. But sometimes it's better to play it more safe, especially as a fresh spawn just trying to make it off the coast. And as you can see, that whole time we were looting around town, Our shoes have only like just now hit damage, so you can just combine that with your stack of rags. It'll use one up, and you'll be back to worn. So that's a pretty significant amount of time you can go with these shoes. And look, I still have 11 repairs. That's pretty insane. I think right now the foot wrap meta is super OP. I'm expecting the devs to maybe tweak it a bit to make it a little less OP, but hey, that's a really useful mechanic and item for players to make, and you know, it encourages more stealth gameplay. It's not all just run and gun, which is, I think, beneficial for the game. Allowing more types of players allows for a more dynamic environment and allows you, it forces you really to always be on your toes and always expect something to happen. I love it personally. All right, yeah, we're doing okay. Let's just keep eating the food that we can eat. Stay filled up. Fill up on them calories. At some point, we'll cook that chicken as well. So if you just you can run up in this tree line. There's a little dirt path up here too, or you can just follow the road. I tend to stay this side, but oh, there we go. You can see the little fence line. When you see the fence, that's how you know you're at the summer camp. And if you hug this little hillside and tree line, and you come straight down, the best thing is there's a little gap in the fence here, and you can sneak your way in, and you can also have a little look around. There's typically a lot of zombies, especially around the medicals, so you have to be careful. But I like to sneak my way in, listen and watch for any player movements, because this is a high traffic point of interest, but it's very worth a stop, because there's, I think, there's what, 4 cabins plus this little pub and a medical. Like, it's a really good stop on your way out of Elektro. And although there might be players here, I think it's typically worth the risk that you're taking. Especially if you can come out of here with a rifle or a little bit of ammo for something. It's giving me a prompt to dig up worms on the fence. I don't do a little stealth kill there for you, for the people. The little double-decker cabin, or whatever you call them, the pubs. I think everyone kind of calls it something a little different. They're typically not the greatest for loot, but I have found rifles in them, so, you know, definitely don't overlook them. We can start here at these first 2 cabins. There we go, a little sprite action. Not so bad. Again, these cabins are especially tricky when it comes to looting, because someone's been here. See, I'm on someone's trail. But see, like, items can spawn like in these little shelves, or sometimes even tucked in this little cabinet area, like behind the door, and you won't even see it. So you got to make sure you're checking every little nook and cranny, trying to get as much of that loot, that sweet, sweet loot as possible. Well, you know, the useful loot. Don't pick up everything. Alright, we tried to stay stealthy, but this little... Okay, just a little warrior here. Man. It's like they decreased the... Oh shit. So now we got a little zombie potential issue. Apparently not, because the zombie's too dumb. Oh, we got a little lucky there. Hashtag scripted. Box of matches, but we already have some, and a lighter, so... I'm just gonna avoid that zombie. Keep myself out of its line of sight. And just continue looting. Ooh, some SKS ammo. 7.62x39 would be useful if we would have swapped for that BK, but you know, that's a decision that I had to make. I'd rather have the baseball bat for very efficient zombie fighting. for situations like you just saw. And that was a lucky one. We were lucky to get out of that as easily as we did. A little chocobo. There's a little bit of loot here. Nothing crazy, and I'm not going to loot the medical because I don't really need anything. I have 4 half-used bandages. That's plenty, and my vitals are good enough that I more than likely will not get sick. We have plenty of food. We have a water bottle. We can easily hydrate ourselves near a well. We should be okay. I'm going to continue just a little farther up the road, because if you come up this way, I honestly think it's safest to go up into this little tree line and, you know, be not too deep that you can't see the road, but you want to be out of sight, because people will probably, there's lots of hillsides here, and you never know if someone would be patient enough of a forest rat to just kind of sit in the trees and camp the road, because this is a very common road to come down. But if you just kind of get in the trees here, be a little discreet, and follow this road. There is a red stilton there. You can check that for any looting needs, but I'm okay. I'm just going to keep moving. Keep moving and grooving, you know how it goes. But if you keep coming up this way, there is actually a little military checkpoint that is super popular. So, although worth looting most of the time, you do have to be careful. So I'm just going to keep going. And there you go, you can see the top of one of the tents. I think there's 2 tents. There's that tent. Oh, there's a police car spawn too. Oh, that's huge. There's a police car. There's that tent, and there's another smaller tent there. But I don't... Oh, the zombies just spawned on me. You actually could see that one spawn right in front of me. Yeah, they all just respawned in, so... And there's no police zombies here. So just, again, another sign of a player already being through here. Just beating me to the situation. I just fucking glitched everywhere. Yeah, there's no good loot here on the police car, so... I don't think there's any point in me looting. Actually, because there's no zombies here, I'm gonna go to this first tent, but I'm not gonna go to the second one. There's too many zombies, too much of a risk. Yeah, and as predicted, no loot, nothing. Now you can see that sign, and the sign is actually very important because you have 2 options at this point. You can keep heading straight down this road, and that will take you to Mogileevka, which you know, is a pretty dangerous town because it's usually a natural line of progression from Cherno. For people that spawn in Cherno, they usually go straight inland and go to Mogileevka first, or you can go to Staroye, which is also very dangerous, but it has a little military compound with a handful of tents, which, you know, obviously is dangerous for its own reasons. Typically, I like to go towards Staroye, because from here, you know, we're in a position right now where we could really use an upgrade on weapons, because that's the one thing that we lack, and you know, Elektro is a lot smaller than, like, say, Cherno. So, although we got lucky, we have a shotgun, a revolver, and an IJ. We have an IJ with a handful of rounds, a revolver with 4 rounds, I think, and then a shotgun with nothing. So, we want to go to Staroye and potentially get us some better loot, because in Staroye there's a medical, there's a hunting shop, and then there's a police station, and then there's, of course, the infamous military compound. So in terms of what we need, I think that's just the better way to go. Mogileevka is a cool little town, and it can get you pretty close to Novi Summer Camp, or you know, you can go up to the castle up near, but there's a lot less loot to be had there. So when you're coming from a smaller, you know, Elektro is one of the, I guess it's bigger than, you know, say Cami or something, but, you know, when you're in Cherno, the natural progression to Mogileevka is not as bad because Cherno's so massive and so much more to loot, and Elektro is maybe half the size. So going to a small next point of interest is not probably the best move. I think it's smarter to go to Staroye. And I will show you the quick way to get there. You can follow that road, obviously, and it will take you right to Staroye. Or you can just cut straight up. If you go to that, there's a little camo tent down there, like a camo netting overhang. If you go straight up behind it, and just go up the hill this way. Actually, you can see, I think on the hill there, that's the castle from Cammy that I went over in the last video, in the last Get Geared video. And yeah, there it is, right there. And I took you down to that other little side town that was right outside of Staroye. But if you were, I think I mentioned, if you go down straight down the hill, oh, a little reset. Oh, not a reset. Let me try and get back in. Loading straight in, cool. But like I said, if you were, I think I mentioned it in the Cammy video. But if you go straight down, I think if you follow the hiking path right down to the road, that is the same road that we were just on that would take you to Staroye. So just a little, so for you to connect the dots and understand where you are in the map at this point in time. Okay, straight back in. But we're just going to carry on over the hill. It's a little safer. Yeah, I think it's good to make those connections, It helps you with your map understanding, your map awareness. It's really important to know where you are so that, you can... There's lots of things you can do when you actually know where you are and where you're headed, right? You can make, planned flanks, planned loot routes, I suppose. You can know where to go when you're tracking another player. You can, figure out good places to make a little camp for the night, or to go fishing, or just settle down and loot, sort out your loot and your inventory. And it also helps you develop your own little shortcuts and all that kind of good stuff, It's just part of learning the game. And when you take the time to play a game like DayZ, and you don't have to play significant amounts to be good at the game, I don't think. Or to enjoy the game, even. I think if you just put the time in and take note of landmarks and connect the dots with, hey, I've been there before, I know where that is. That's over the hill from Cammy. And oh wow, I'm really close to Cammy, and whatever. Just connecting the dots and learning the map little by little as you go is very, very helpful. And don't mind this. This is just a little... I think it's a little event thing on official servers where they put these little bonfires out. I don't quite know what it celebrates, but if you know, make sure to let me know in the comments, because I'm interested. But they're not typically there. Neither is a firefighter zombie out here. I think that spawns on the little bonfires. A little bit of desync for me. You did notice, I think, initially when I clicked on the server, I accidentally hit a Netherlands server when I meant to click a US, so that's why my game was so desynced or laggy. And if you're curious as to what desync means, essentially, when you play an open world game like this, the server tries to sync up all the players from all the different places in the world. Because, it could be a US server, but you have people from the UK, you have people from India, maybe China, Russia. Like, you have people from all over the place connecting to the server, so the game tries to sync up everybody's movements and behaviors, and, the farther away you are from the servers, where the server is being hosted, then obviously it's going to be a lot harder to sync you up to the live environment. But we crossed over the hill, just cut through a field, and you'll see that barn on the hill. If you just come straight down, you'll see a gas station and then Staroye. And I think at this point, this is where the beginner video ends. And yeah, Staroye is a really good place to loot at an intermediate level. And at this point, we have a shotgun, we have a really good melee weapon, a good utility tool, some, spare ammo, a couple backup weapons, We got the new sweet improvised rag clothing, the new rope belt, some decent stuff, a ballistic vest, really good, and some other bits and bobs, as my friends would say. But that's going to be it for today's video. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. A lot of people seem to really like these Get Geared walkthrough videos. I'm really happy to help you guys out. And if you want to help me out, make sure to like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know what you're doing if you haven't subscribed. Get on this hype train, baby. And comment below the next bomb point you want me to cover. Or any other guide videos that you'd like me to cover. Aside from that, that's it for me for now, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.